Hey folks, Lake Speed Jr. and I'm back with
Ed Keibler.
So here we're at Rottler Manufacturing, here where you make all the cool tools.
Yes, sir.
And you know, Ed, I was noticing something on these machines that when we go into plateau mode, which is, you know, obviously when we're trying to get the right surface finish.
Yep, when we're trying to get that maximum or extreme plateau.
Exactly, we're going for the extreme plateau.
Yep.
You'd be able to have your roughing operation and then your plateau operation. And I've noticed on these machines that when we go to that plateau operation, that the stones feed out and get their pressure before the head ever starts to spin. Now, tell everybody how that impacts crosshatch angle, because we know crosshatch angle is really important in terms of how the oil moves up and down. Right? You guys know it. Oil is one of the elements in our ring seal soup, and crosshatch angle is that transport for the oil. So, Ed, explain what we're seeing and why that's different than just the regular roughing mode where it just starts spinning and does its thing.
Right. No, that's a great catch, Lake. So what it is as we all know, we're looking for a consistent crosshatch angle from the top to the bottom.
Right.
Okay. We don't want two different crosshatch angles. We want the same crosshatch angle.
Now, isn't that one of the advantages of having a vertical hone?
Absolutely.
Okay, so just having a vertical hone by itself means that you're going to be more consistent in crosshatch top to bottom as well as board geometry, but we're talking about crosshatch angle here, so back to what you were saying.
Yep, absolutely. So what happens is you know, when we're putting in our deep V's our with our rough abrasive, okay, we're taking out 2, 3, 4 thousandths typically, or even more.
Right.
But when we're plateauing, as you and I have discussed many times, we're taking out microns.
You're really not, it's not stock removal.
No.
You shouldn't be able to measure it really with the dial bore gauge.
That's correct. We're taking out 40 millionths of an inch, which is not measurable with a half thousandths reading indicator.
If you've not watched before, right, 100 micro inches, which is what we're talking about in terms of top to bottom of our surface finish, 100 micro inches is equivalent to a tenth of a thousandth.
That's correct. Yes.
So we're talking about a tenth total maybe on your dial bore gauge.
That's right. Yes. Yep. So what happens is if we were to do this in the normal mode, what the machine will do is it will expand the abrasive. It spins and it's expanding abrasives. It goes down and does a crash protection stroke, and then it comes back up to the top, spins till it reaches size, and then it begins the honing process.
Okay.
If we do that in a plateau mode, we're taking out so little. What we end up with is we end up with a flat crosshatch at the top.
Ooh.
No crosshatch at all, because we're going over the top of it.
It's just they're spinning like this.
Sitting there spinning. So anytime we're removing less than 2 tenths or less, we want to be in the plateau mode. And in the plateau mode, as you explained, the stones expand several times to seek the proper pressure in the cylinder wall, and then the rotation begins.
Yep.
So that is really the key, and it's especially important when we're talking about these extreme plateaus. You know, in the past, we've always talked about 220, 280, 400, that sort of stuff. And we're trying to inform people that really the way to get these extreme plateaus is a very rough abrasive followed by a very fine abrasive with minimal stock removal. And
well, I'm going to say this. What we've called plateau honing, for most people would understand as plateau honing, really was just making it smooth.
That's right.
We really weren't plateau honing.
No, we were not.
We thought we were.
That's right.
But we were just making things smooth.
That's
what we're doing now with this really rough, abrasive to go to size, and then plateauing with a much finer abrasive is actually plateauing.
That's correct.
We're calling it extreme plateauing now to give it a different term. But in reality, when you look back, like my dad's old engine, when you look back at a plateau home back then, it's just smooth. It's just smooth. There's no valley. There's really no RK. There's no RPK. It's just smooth.
Yes, and you can really see that with the profilometers when you see when you get the sketch across there where it's actually tracing the surface finish. It's a very dramatic difference when you do a trace with the roughing op, and then you do a trace after you've gone in with that that fine abrasive. You can, I mean, it's a very definitive plateau.
Well, I know a lot of guys are using what's called the RZ, which is the peak to valley distance.
Yep.
And they're actually using that as their guidepost when they go finish their roughing abrasive to make sure they have enough RZ before they begin plateauing, so they know that they don't take away too much. Right?
That's
If
right.
you don't have enough RZ to begin with, you can't get there.
Right. That's right. RZ is the distance from the highest peak to the lowest valley.
Right. So, how does this impact crosshatch angle consistency? And why don't we talk to everybody and show them the way you guys have a really cool tool that can add on to the machine to check.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I know on this machine, I've seen these machines enough now that in terms of how you determine what your crosshatch angle is on these machines isn't by changing belts and stuff like that to figure out the stroke speeds and stuff. You just dial in the number on the screen, right?
You just punch it in. You put whatever crosshatch angle you want, anywhere from 0 to 90, and the machine will figure that out for you.
I like it when machines do math for me. I'm not like Ben Strader that can do the math in his head.
In his head.
Yeah, of course he makes us dumb people feel better by having this calculator, like he's actually using it.
And the wheels are turning and things.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right, so we can just punch in the number on the screen.
Yes.
The machine does all the thinking. It does all the work. But how do you check it? Because I know traditionally we even have these little cards that Keith Jones made. You can hold that little card in there and you can kind of look and see what the crosshatch angle is by figuring it out, and then you got to do the math in your head of what that included angle is. But tell us how you guys are doing it with this new tool.
Sure. Well, the first thing we have to do is give a shout out to Mr. Malberg. Okay. Because Mr. Malberg is the one that developed the software that was enable us to do this sort of thing. And, and it's pretty cool stuff.
Oh, it is really cool. Wait till you see this.
Yes.
All right, show me what we got here. So what is this little deal here?
So this is a camera, and what it enables us to do with Mark's software is we can actually set that in the cylinder, and you can actually take a picture of it if you want, but it's got a magnifier on it and a light, and you can adjust that to get a good clear picture. And then there is a like a diagram that will actually show you and read out the exact crosshatch angle. And that's what this has enabled us to prove to everyone how accurate these vertical stroke machines are. I mean, we won't vary more than a degree from top to bottom typically.
So this is your seeing eye, actually.
This is our seeing eye.
Yeah, you can go in there and it sees it, and again, the software figures it out. It looks at that crosshatch angle, indicates it, and then shows you right there on the screen what that crosshatch angle is.
Yes. Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, well, again, it's another tool for verifying what you have. No different than the profilometer is for measuring the surface finish. This is your optical tool for measuring your crosshatch angle.
Right, exactly. Yep. As you and I have talked, we keep getting better and better at this, and it's because we have the tools to measure and to quantify.
Man, I keep thinking about Scooter Brothers, right? Scooter, you're right about all these things, right? You can't change what you can't measure.
That's right.
Here it is. This is why he made Billy buy CMMs before they ever bought CNCs.
There you go.
If you can't measure it, you can't improve it.
Can't improve it.
So why even have this great machine if you can't measure it? And we got this awesome machine. We also have the awesome tools to be able to measure it. So in the end, you get better, more consistent surface finish, better consistent crosshatch angles, which means your engines are going to be better and more consistent. And that's what this is all about. So hope you guys enjoyed this segment. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
What a day, what a day, what a day. My brain is swollen. I've learned so much today. They told us, don't start cars. We are not going to listen.